What if I told you Lewis Hamilton's real fight in Miami wasn't against Antonelli, but against his own team? The telemetry doesn't lie. Ferrari didn't just underdeliver, they left Hamilton out to dry with a car that couldn't hold grip, a strategy team that couldn't make a call, and tire wear that looked more like sabotage than science. We're not talking about a midfield rookie. This is a 7-time world champion, wasting laps behind a Haas, asking for answers and getting told to hold DRS. This wasn't bad luck. It was a masterclass in how not to run a race team. So if you're here for the real story, not the sugar-coated press release, smash that like, drop your fury in the comments, and subscribe to Paddock Insider, because while the others protect the brand, we protect the truth. And trust me, it's only getting uglier from here. But first, we need to talk about it. If you ever wanted proof that the red garage is creaking under pressure, Miami gave you all of it. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc didn't just race on Sunday, they survived. And now, they want answers. Let's start with Lewis. P8. A 7-time world champion stuck babysitting strategy calls because the pit wall couldn't get its act together. He runs the hard tires like a master, pits for mediums, catches Leclerc, and what happens? Nothing. No call, no swap, no clarity. So he asks, how far are people ahead of Charles? I'm just burning up my tires behind him. And the reply? We want to keep DRS to Charles. Let that sink in. You sign Hamilton to lead your charge, and then use him as a drag reduction decoy? By the time they finally swap, Antonelli's long gone. Well, now I've used all my tires. That's not just sarcasm. That's a driver boiling over from carrying a team that won't carry him back. Then there's Charles, the quiet Sunday soldier. He finishes P7, right ahead of Lewis, and doesn't throw blame. But he doesn't let the team off easy either. We didn't do anything wrong, but the decisions we made as a team weren't the right ones. That line, that's everything. It's not an attack, it's a wake-up call, a polite scream from a driver who's tired of watching podiums disappear in the rearview mirror. He even makes it clear he's not beefing with Lewis. There was no bad intention. He wanted to maximize the result just like I did. Exactly. That's the problem. Both guys were trying to salvage something, while Ferrari's strategy looked like it was written in crayon. And Fred Vasseur? He says they followed orders, and that's true. But maybe that's the issue. The orders were the problem. Ferrari didn't just get beaten in Miami, they got exposed. Let's stop pretending otherwise. 7th and 8th place, with Hamilton and Leclerc over a minute behind Oscar Piastri. That's not bad luck. That's a competitive crisis. Saturday already waved the red flags, Lewis out in Q2. Charles only managed P8, and behind both Williams cars. Yes, Williams. The SF-25 is a diva of the worst kind, needs the stars to align to behave, and punishes you the second they don't. Rear end unstable. Tires overheating in Sector 2. On throttle. Total chaos. Ferrari came into 2025 selling fans on a dream, but Miami showed us the cold truth. You can't polish a fundamentally flawed race car, no matter how red and shiny it looks. Let's talk execution, or lack thereof. Hamilton on hards, Leclerc on mediums. On paper, smart. On track, disaster. Lewis was stuck behind a Haas for 23 laps. Leclerc couldn't get past 2 Williams. By the time a virtual safety car gave them the gift of a cheap pit stop, Ferrari had one job: let the faster car go. And they didn't. They hesitated. They waited. They monitored the gap. Meanwhile, Antonelli built a cushion up the road. When they finally let Lewis through, his tires were already gone. 5 laps too late. strategy delay, race result doomed, and in the final stint, Leclerc had to clean up the mess, closing on Antonelli just as it was too late to matter. The real problem isn't just the SF-25's setup window being razor-thin, it's the mindset. Ferrari isn't racing, they're reacting. Let's kill the narrative that Lewis Hamilton lost his temper over a single sarcastic line. The tea-break jab? That was just the lid popping off a pressure cooker that had been building for laps. The real story starts much earlier. You want proof? Let's talk about the raw, frustrated, unfiltered radio that never made the post-race highlight reels. Hamilton: "So hot here, mate. Just leave me to it now." Adami: "Understood." Soft 9 suggested. Hamilton: "Stop talking to me while I'm in frickin' battle, man, jeez. I'm in the braking zone and you're talking to me. God, so slow in the straights, man. It's so draggy." That's not drama. That's a driver drowning in silence and static from a team that should be guiding him, not distracting him. Now ask yourself, would a driver say this if they trusted the pit wall? Would a 7-time world champion snap like that if everything behind the scenes was working? Hamilton was driving blind, not because he lacked vision, but because the team left him without direction, and the clock kept ticking. You can call him feisty, sarcastic, even difficult, but don't you dare call him wrong. Post-race, he made it crystal clear. You're sitting on the chair. You've got the stuff in front of you. Make the decision quick. That's not disrespect. That's what leadership sounds like when it's had enough of indecision dressed up as strategy. Hamilton's not here to be polite. He's here to win. And Ferrari? They look like they're still trying to figure out which tyre compounds do what in 2025. He said it himself. "I'm not going to apologize for still wanting it." And he shouldn't, because without that fire, Ferrari is just coasting. And this team was not built to coast. If you're watching this, you already know the truth. The fire is still there. It's not the driver who's flat. It's the system around him that's under-delivering. Let's call it like it is. Miami was a punch to the gut for Lewis Hamilton. Less than 24 hours after a brilliant sprint drive to P3, he was sent packing in Q2. And for Ferrari, according to La Gazzetta dello Sport, that result was, quote, "indigestible." No kidding. This is a 7-time world champion we're talking about, in a Ferrari, not even making the top 10 shootout. He was just 600ths off Leclerc, but that's all it took. Outside, eliminated, done. And here's the real sting. Hamilton's been closing that qualifying gap race by race, from half a second behind in Bahrain, to a couple tenths in Saudi, to Miami, where he was basically level. But guess what? None of it matters when the car under you is allergic to stability. Because let's be honest, the SF-25 doesn't just lack balance, it chews it up and spits it out. This isn't just a one-off quali blunder. This is Ferrari's DNA cracking under pressure. Hamilton and Leclerc are fighting the same ghost, a car that just refuses to behave. The SF-25 is so twitchy and rear-end happy that even new tires with more grip make it worse. You know it's bad when more grip means less control. Now throw in Ferrari's infamous strategy indecision and internal silence when drivers need clarity. What do you get? Leclerc said it himself after the race. "We definitely have to talk internally. The decisions we made as a team weren't the right ones." That's not frustration. That's resignation. And don't even try spinning this as part of some master plan. Ferrari is now 152 points behind McLaren. The same McLaren they went wheel to wheel with for the championship last year. You're not chasing wins anymore. You're chasing damage limitation.